Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Unfound Now. I know it's been a while, I guess since August, but there haven't been any disappearances that have popped up on the national scene during that time that I thought that I needed to comment on. If you remember, the reason I do this program is to, of course, draw attention to these disappearances, but I'm trying to use them as a learning tool. What can we look at in these different disappearances, and what can we learn from them that we can apply to other disappearances? And so this is a way that I'm trying to teach all of you how to analyze disappearances, what facts should tell you once you hear them, and how you can compare this disappearance over here to this disappearance over there, and how can we all become more educated regarding these disappearances, because that is the way more of them are going to get solved. That is my belief. That's been my belief since I started Unfound over 4 years ago, and every episode that we do, every one that comes out on Fridays, it's not just about building awareness, it's about educating all the listeners so they can become very good amateur sleuths. So tonight, I'm recording this, October 5th, Monday on the night of October 5th. I want to talk about the disappearance of Stephanie Hollingsworth, who disappeared on September 25th, so roughly 10, 11 days ago, from the Belle Isle suburb of Orlando, Florida, which of course is only about an hour and a half from where I live. And in fact, I'm going to be in Orlando a week from now. Stephanie is a 50-year-old woman. She is married and the mother of 3. On September 25th, she left in the afternoon in her 2000 silver Chevy Tahoe with a Florida license plate Y50XUR. And she went to a Bank of America and also to a Walmart. And there's video out there of her being in that Walmart. I've not read anywhere where she bought anything or how long she was in there, but I'm fairly sure, at least 11 days after her disappearance, that it wasn't the Walmart where she was last seen. It was actually at this Bank of America where she went to an ATM and took out $20. I do not know if they know that she took that money out because of a bank statement or because there was a camera there for the ATM that showed it was actually she who was taking the money out. But it seems to me, the news stories that I've read yesterday and today regarding all of this, that everyone involved, including the investigators, seem pretty sure that she was the one who took the $20 out. Something else that is a huge factor in all of this is that her husband did say that she had been struggling with some psychological issues this year, and in particular, not long before she went missing on September 25th. I should also note that she was seen at this Walmart that she was seen at was on Goldenrod Road in Orlando, and I think since she went missing, that is where her friends and family have set up, in the parking lot of that Walmart, have set up like their headquarters when they've gone out to search for Stephanie. So what I'm going to do is go through some of these facts, taking a look at them, analyzing them, and tell you probably where this investigation should go this many days into it. We know that you start getting toward that 2-week mark, the odds greatly decrease whether the person is going to be found, whether alive or deceased, very soon. You notice in disappearances that people generally don't go missing for what you might call a month. It's either they are found within a few days, alive or deceased, whether it's by accident, suicide, or crime. They're either found very quickly or it seems most of the time you get past that 3-day to 7-day window, and it usually means this disappearance is going to last for a while. That doesn't mean it won't be solved, but it's probably not going to be solved in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You get past that week mark, it usually means it's going to be months. That's just what I've noticed in covering over 190 disappearances over the last 4 years. So I think we have to keep that in mind in Stephanie's disappearance. But there were 3 points that I see, once again, regarding the facts that we all need to think about and how to analyze this. I should also note that in this disappearance, there are no theories or rumors, any speculation out there believing that her husband has anything to do with Stephanie's disappearance, unlike maybe Suzanne Morphew's. That's a disappearance we've not covered on Unfound Now yet, but certainly in her case, even though her husband allegedly has an alibi being many miles away, there are people out there who believe he did have something to do with her disappearance, although there are no facts to support that theory, at least to my knowledge. So, overall, before I get into the particulars, overall, I find it hard to believe that Stephanie is still in the area of Orlando. I think that is fairly obvious, and I think that's what the facts point toward, and I'll tell you why. First of all, number one, it's been over 10 days, and in disappearances where a person and that person's car go missing, it's easier to look for the car than it is to look for the person. Proof of that is that we've covered over 190 disappearances for Unfound, and only 6 or 7 of them total were ones where vehicles also went missing at the same time. And in those disappearances, some of those cars have already been found, and some of those cases have been solved. For example, Esther Westenbarger, she and her car were found together earlier this year in a pond near where she lived. And it's believed she went into that pond by accident. I don't think we'll ever know why, but maybe she fell asleep at the wheel, had a heart attack, drinking and driving. I don't think we're ever going to know. But you could go to the totally other extreme, and very recently, Eric Franks' car was found in a garage in Saginaw, Michigan, where he disappeared, and it's certainly pointing toward foul play, which is, I think, something that people believed anyway regarding Eric's disappearance. This going back to 2011, and if you're unfamiliar with that disappearance, please go to Podomatic or iTunes and find that episode so you can listen to it for yourself, at least the original interview I did with his mother, and then you can connect that to all of the news that has come out within the last month with his car being found intact very recently. A very strange set of circumstances. Very, very rare the way that all happened. So cars can go missing in a variety of ways. People can go missing in a variety of ways. But when they both go missing together, it is easier to look for the car than it is to look for the person. The car doesn't have a mind of its own. Cars can be hidden. I mean, we can talk about an Unfound Now that I did, Mary Lane Carter, where it's kind of similar to Stephanie's in that Mary Lane was also having some sort of psychological issues, and we now know that she found a container sitting on somebody's property, drove the car into the container, closed the doors of this shipping container, kind of these containers you'd see on a big shipping container, and she committed suicide inside that container. I'm not saying that happened in Stephanie's, but cars don't go missing by themselves. It takes a person to make the car go missing. But being that we're 11 days into this, and the car has not been found anywhere around. Many people are looking for it. I'm inclined to believe that the car is not in that area anymore, or somehow Stephanie hid it just like Mary Lane hid herself and her car, at least successfully for a few days. Or we have to start looking at, could Stephanie have driven her car into some body of water over there in the Orlando area? That's certainly possible. It wouldn't be my choice, but it's certainly possible. However, I think the odds are that this car and Stephanie are not in the Orlando area. All right, I think we have to think about that. And this kind of connects to my second point, is that $20 that she got out of the ATM. Once again, the way I understand it is she went to Walmart first and then got the $20, which seems like the opposite of the way somebody would do something like that. They usually go to the ATM first to get money before you go to the store, not after you go to the store. This leads me to believe that $20 was part of her going missing. And being that she was in this vehicle, and the vehicle and she have not been found yet in the Orlando area, I'm inclined to believe that she was going to use that $20 to get gas. And this is the other reason that I believe that she is not in the Orlando area anymore. Now, what would I call the Orlando area? Orlando, of course, is a large city, mainly known for Disney. But I would not say that she is probably, if you go to the center of Orlando, I doubt that she is a half hour in any direction from the center of Orlando. I believe that she is somewhere outside of that. I think that being that she got $20 and probably spent it on gas, my opinion, that her intent was to drive away from the area. What this also means, though, is whatever went on that day, September 25th, was probably planned. This is not something that she thought about doing on the spur of the moment. Okay? And I did some calculations here. $20 currently can buy you about 8 to 9 gallons of gas. And we just don't know how much gas was in the vehicle before she gassed it up. That's probably only something that her husband would know. And 9 gallons, let's say that the SUV, it's a big SUV, maybe gets 20 miles to the gallon on the highway. Of course, a lot less around town. So just that $20 could buy her 180 miles of travel distance. From Orlando, that doesn't get you outside of Florida yet, but we don't know how much gas was in the vehicle before she might have gassed it up. Okay? Now, on top of that, well, why did she use the dollars instead of using her card? Probably because she didn't want to be tracked. She wanted to get that money, or she wanted to get that gas anonymously. Being able to go somewhere, and probably 10 days, 11 days later, might be too late now, depending, but it would make sense to me that you should start looking at the gas stations around where the ATM machine is. Maybe they've already done that. I've not read that anywhere, but it seems like the most logical choice to me that those are the places you should look. Once again, the problem, though, is would they still have video? Would these convenience stores, these gas stations, still have video from 11 days ago? If it were when I was working for 7-Eleven 20 years ago, over 20 years ago now, probably not. But we were still using VHS tapes. Now I'm sure most places are not using VHS tapes. They're using computers with, of course, better video systems, recording right onto a hard drive digitally, and maybe they do save 30 days at a time. I really don't know, but we do know that the further you get away from that disappearance date, the less likely it is any businesses or schools or banks or government offices, anything like that, are going to have video. The longer you go, the less likely they're going to have it. But I think that the $20 and myself believing that she was going to get gas for the purpose of getting gas anonymously takes me to my third point, and probably the biggest red flag of anything in this disappearance is that she left her phone at home. Of course, this has been going on for a while now in this era of technology, that we know people just don't leave their houses without their phones. Now, not to joke around, but I know my dad does once in a while, because I'll call him and he'll say, well, I'll ask him, why didn't you pick up? Well, I left my phone at home. But he's 83 years old. Whereas people, I think, who are younger than that have kind of grown up in the cellular age, maybe around my age or maybe just a little older, I'm 50 years old, we're kind of used to carrying our phones all the time. And because our phones just aren't our phones. I know for me, I can use it as I have the app Waze. If I'm driving somewhere, I can use Waze to show me the best way to go. I have music. I have Spotify on my phone. I have YouTube on my phone. And I think everybody does. Everybody has some sort of music app or, map type of application or anything like that. Most people have that. So a person leaving and deciding to leave without his or her phone is a red flag. And people always ask me, Ed, you should write a book or write a how-to manual for people. Well, that I have not done that, but that is certainly something that if you encounter somebody in your family who left the house but their phone is still there, that's a yellow flag. And if you don't hear from that person, the person doesn't come home within a few hours, it should quickly become a red flag. Quickly. So you add that into everything, and it sounds to me, you put those 3 points together, that she got this $20, that the car hasn't been found in the Orlando area yet, and that she didn't take her cell phone. These all point to the signs that she was going somewhere, probably far away, that she didn't want to be tracked, because, of course, phones can do that. It just doesn't paint a very good scenario. I can't deny that. I'm not saying she's deceased. I'm not saying she's alive. But those 3 facts put together tell me that she's not in the Orlando area anymore. Maybe she came over here to Tampa, the area where I live. Or maybe she went to Daytona. Maybe she went down to Miami. I can't say. But given that it's been this long and there's other factors, it points to a person who was going to leave the area and didn't want anybody to know which way she was going. And I think it points to the idea that she was going to be going somewhere that was far away, maybe even outside Florida, depending on how much gas the SUV already had in it in the first place. And then you have to add in that her husband said she was having psychological issues. To me, this all works together. So I'm guessing the police have already alerted other jurisdictions in Florida to be on the lookout for her SUV, but those areas are not going to be looking for her SUV as much as people in law enforcement in Orlando. So it very well may be that SUV is sitting somewhere right now, and we just don't know it because other people in other areas haven't seen it yet, haven't noticed it. So that's my assessment for the disappearance of Stephanie Hollingsworth. It's kind of like Mary Lane Carter's, I guess, somewhat like it. But in her case, she actually said she was driving to another state. Of course, she did not get there. And, in retrospect, it seems to me that was just a ploy for her to leave her home so she could commit suicide somewhere. I don't think it's as clear in Stephanie's situation, but 10 days, the car not being found in the Orlando area, getting $20 out of an ATM for some reason when I'm sure she took her purse, she had credit cards, etc., and then her not taking her phone tells me that she nor the vehicle are in the Orlando area anymore. That's my assessment, given the facts on October 5th, 2020. So I appreciate you watching this episode of Unfound Now. If you're just coming across Unfound for the first time due to the coverage of Stephanie's disappearance, our episodes come out every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. We, of course, have this Unfound Podcast channel that you're watching right now. We have a Facebook group. We have a Facebook page. We are on Instagram, Twitter, etc. And you can find Unfound on Podomatic, iTunes, Spotify, and a whole host of podcast applications. And we've covered over 190 disappearances in the last 4 years. And I almost forgot the website, theunfoundpodcast.com. Thank you for watching.